Democrats are crying foul in a hotly contested state House seat in Albuquerque. That's because for 2 years, the Republican state representative hasn't disclosed a nearly six-figure deal her husband has with the state. Matt Grubbs is on special assignment.
In a few days, regardless of what the monsoons are doing, we will all be up to our hips in mud. Because once we clear Labor Day, we are in high election season. Forget the presidency for a second. The race to control the New Mexico House of Representatives will set the stage for state politics in the next 2 years. And so we find ourselves in the ultra-competitive House District 15 in Albuquerque's North Valley, where Republican State Representative Sarah Maestas Barnes is about to hold a job fair, and Democrats have filed a complaint about her financial disclosures.
I think the concern is that it affects the voters' ability to evaluate her job.
State Party Director Joe Kaborik points out correctly that Maestas Barnes did not tell the public about a $91,000 a year deal her husband's company had to rent space in Albuquerque to the State Human Services Department.
This is a huge amount of money. This is not a couple $100. This is $91,000, almost $100,000 a year. And that is something that it's hard to see how that would be an oversight.
As transparency measures go, the financial disclosures filed by public officials don't require much, but they do require, in box number 10, disclosure of any goods or services provided to state agencies in excess of $5,000. It's not illegal for a state agency to have a contractual relationship with the family of a state legislator. The issue is that it needs to be disclosed. The reason why is to make sure that everyone gets a fair shake when they're trying to do something like land a lease deal with a state agency. The Human Services Department says it's had the same lease on the property since long before Maestas Barnes' husband owned it, and it renewed the lease before she was elected. Maestas Barnes filed a correct disclosure form this month, and as for leaving the real estate deal off her first 2 disclosures as a legislator?
So I'm not involved in my husband's day-to-day dealings. He's very involved with a lot of different entities, and he and I don't have those types of conversations. As soon as I became aware of it, I immediately disclosed it.
She says she simply did not know, and she too is crying foul.
Not only is the complaint full of false allegations, the timing of it is really suspect. As I indicated, it's being filed on the eve of a job fair.
It's not unfair, it's the law, and she's failed to follow it. She should know that as an attorney, but also as somebody who's been entrusted by voters to serve them properly, and she hasn't done that in this case.
Whatever it is, UNM political science professor Gabe Sanchez says it can't be a surprise.
It's fair game in terms of the disclosure rules that we do have in place here in the state of New Mexico. You know, everybody knows that it's an election season with the entire legislature up for grabs, and this is one of those that's targeted as a really tight race.
You can bet you haven't heard the last from either party as the storms of campaign politics roll into New Mexico. On special assignment, Matt Grubbs, KRQE News 13.
So what's next for the complaint? Maybe not much. The law says the Secretary of State should try to get lawmakers to voluntarily comply before imposing fines. And Maestas Barnes has already filed a corrected disclosure form.